A very good morning, my children. I hope everyone is fine and safe. Let's look into the main area in the class 11, chapter 2, which is a very large chapter and also having a more weightage. From this chapter today, we will try to learn and understand the competency based questions. So, let's begin our topic. The first one, a psychologist, we are dividing the competency based questions as first assertion reason, case based, and application based. So we will see the application based and certain short cases as well as the assertion reason in today's session. A psychologist is interested in studying the aggressive behavior of children during the recess. They sit on a bench in the school playground and take detailed notes on children's interactions without interfering. So which method of enquiry is the psychologist is using here is the psychologist is observing the children's behavior out of the classroom in the playground, and he is looking into the aggressive behavior. So it is the naturalistic observation. It is naturalistic because there is no restrictions when the children are playing. There is no control. It is not happening in the lab. So we call it as naturalistic observation. And second thing, if there is an option of participant or non-participant, I will say it is the non-participant observation because the teacher is not involved in play or anything. So I mean the psychologist is not involved in any play. So we can say here it is as the a non-participant observation, also naturalistic as well as non-participant. A researcher wants to investigate the relationship between the number of hours a student spends on social media and their academic performance. See the relation here we are going to study. Which type of research method would be most suitable to explore this kind of relationship? It is the correlational research, I can say to you. Means what exactly, why we are calling negative correlation? If you are observing here, the amount of time a child is spending on social media definitely is increasing, means academic performance generally will go down. So I am keeping here the option C, correlational research, and there is no need to say negative correlation. Generally this is negative correlation will be there. In rare cases we can say maybe a gifted child may be spending more time on social media but his academic performance will be very, but on a general way you see here it is the correlational research, whereas the negative correlation is the main issue here. Means the study is going to be negative. One is increasing, another variable will decrease. Means you spend more time on social network, your academic performance slow down. Now the third question, a psychologist wants to understand the unique experiences of a child who was raised in isolation. The psychologist spends a significant amount of time with the child, interviewing the family members, reviewing the medical records, and conducting detailed observation. Which research method is being used and why is it appropriate? So let us see this case based and application based question. Here it is basically the psychologist is spending the significant time with the child, interviewing the family members, revising the medical records, and conducting detailed observations. So it is basically case study method, though the observation is there here. He's not only using, see, case study is actually a method of investigation which includes multiple other methods. So it is the case study because it provides a detailed, in-depth analysis of a single individual's life. It is the third one, option C, is the right answer. Now the question number 4, a psychologist wants to design a study to determine if a new teaching method improves student scores in mathematics. Psychologists divide their class into two groups. Group A, which is taught using new method, while the group B is taught using traditional method. What are the independent and dependent variables? You see here it is. So the independent variable is which is totally under the control of experimenter. Experimenter, as per its need and convenience, he can manipulate. So what he is manipulating here, the teaching method. Teaching method, basically he is keeping one method for somebody and a traditional method for someone. So group A is going with a new method, group B is going with a old method. So the teaching method is the independent variable. Now what is the dependent variable? Because he is going to study the performance of the students on the base of the method. So the score, performance of the students is the dependent variable. So the performance related term is the student score. It is the score is actually the marks. We are going to measure the performance in terms of the score or the mark. So we can take the student score as the dependent variable. So the option A is the right answer. Question number 5. A researcher is studying sleeping patterns of adolescents using a questionnaire. However, they are concerned that the adolescents may provide socially desirable answers about their sleep. Yes. Generally, whenever we keep a questionnaire, people will give social desirability is the biggest threat. Social desirability means people endorses the items in a socially acceptable manner. People may lie. They may give a favorable answer about their sleep hygiene rather than their actual habits. Which ethical consideration is the researcher is most concerned about, and how can they address it? Here it is. A researcher is studying the sleeping patterns of adolescents using a questionnaire. However, they are concerned that the adolescents may provide socially desirable answers. So here it is voluntary participation. Fifth A it is. By making sure the adolescents are not pressured to participate. Yes. We need to mainly focus on voluntary participation. You cannot force someone for your research purpose. The person should come voluntarily. Means those who are ready to help us, those who are ready, those who are genuinely having a feeling to do something should be invited. So the ethics of psychological research. The first ethic is informed consent, voluntary participation, debriefing, sharing the results. You see, like this we have the ethics. Now let's make a move to the question number 6. A psychologist is conducting study on the effectiveness of a new therapy for anxiety. She randomly assigns participants to either a treatment group or a control group. She then measures their anxiety levels. Identify the experimental group and the control group in the study. So what exactly the experimental group and control group here? So experimental group is a group where you will do the manipulation of independent variable. In which group independent variable is getting manipulated, that is the experimental group. In which group we don't do any manipulation and we just keep that group, we just keep that group for comparison purpose, that is a control group. So the experimental group, I can say the group receiving the new therapy is the experimental group, and the group not receiving the any therapy is a control group. You see here, a control group is, here it is receiving no therapy. Within the answer only I kept this for you people, my children. Within the question itself I kept the answer for you. So it's a treatment group receiving the new therapy. It's actually an experimental group, beta. Or a control group, you see here I gave the answer. Half answer is already revealed to you. It's like a tricky. So how you are going to find that? If you read sometimes the question itself, you will get the answers. It will be very easy for you. So option C for the 6th question is the right answer. 7. A research team wants to explore how different parenting styles affect the child's self-esteem, and they decide to use a qualitative approach. What would be the most appropriate data collection method, and why is qualitative approach suitable? Yes, the quantitative and qualitative analysis is there. What exactly this qualitative approach? You see here, my children, look into this area. The qualitative data. So very interesting fact here for us. I can say, given options you observe. it's better to go for an unstructured interview. See, observation will not work out, survey will not work out, because you are going to how different parenting styles affect the child's self-esteem. So you need to interview the people, and better is to go for unstructured interview, and it's a qualitative approach, and open-ended questionnaires. Yes, open-ended questionnaires, because if you go with a close-ended questionnaire, every parent opinion is different, every parent style is different. So here better to use unstructured interview with an open-ended questionnaire. So seventh one, option C, is the right answer. Now the question number 8. A psychologist is studying the effectiveness of new memory technique. She wants to ensure that participants in her study are not influenced by the factors other than the memory technique itself, such as their prior knowledge or motivation. These factors could potentially influence the results, are known as, you see here, whenever we do the research in the field of psychology, we know there are three types of variables: independent, dependent. And you see, she wants to ensure that the participants in her study are not influenced by any factor. So what factors we don't want to come in our research? So here it is very clear: extraneous variables or the intervening variables. We have the term here, you see, the extraneous or intervening variables we are using. Now let's make a move to the question number 9. Question number 8 answer extraneous variable, option A it is. Now question number 9. A team of researchers is conducting a study on the relationship between sleep duration and stress level among college students. They collect the data from a sample of 200 students using an online survey. They find a negative correlation. So what does this result mean, and what is a limitation of this type of study? The question number 9, you see. Conducting the study on the relationship between sleep duration and stress level among the college students. They collect the data from 200 students using an online survey, and they found a negative correlation. Yes, what does this result mean? What is the limitation here? See, negative correlation they found already. So negative correlation should be like one increases, another one decreases. So we'll go to the if first option, say sleep duration increases, stress level decrease. A limitation is that it cannot determine cause effect. See here, limitation is that it cannot determine cause and effect. B, it means that sleep duration increases, stress level increase. B is totally wrong. C, it means that sleep duration decreases, stress level also decreases. No, both are going into B and C are positive correlation. D, it means that there is no relationship. No, there is a relationship. You see, option A is the right answer. It means that sleep duration increases, stress level decreases. My children, some of you, what you will do while reading the questions, you don't have the habit of reading the full answer. You see, here it is, sometimes they will keep this one, and the reason they keep it, a limitation that can determine cause effect, cannot actually, can determine also can change, making you to think more. That's the reason first important quality of a student when he is writing the exam, the CBSE is giving reading time 15 minutes. Utilize this time in an appropriate manner. Read each and every word, analyze each and every word, every statement. So the option A is the right answer. Now let's make a move to the question number 10. An educational psychologist wants to study the emotional development of a child with a rare genetic disorder from birth to adolescence. Which of the following research methods would be most appropriate, and what is its primary advantage in this context? You see, it's a case study. If you would like to study, it's a case study. 10 option C is the right answer, because it's a longitudinal study. My children, I told you people about Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, and I told you people, Piaget observed his own children, his own three children from the time birth to till they reach to adolescence observed. So that kind of studies are called longitudinal studies. They take a lot of time. Same child, same sample you are going to study up to the long period of time. So that is basically a longitudinal study. We have the cross-sectional study as well as longitudinal study of research. In cross-sectional, you will compare an infant child, other children in childhood, other children like that you will take. Just I am going with to explain this area to chapter 4 also. It's actually chapter 2 question, but little bit got created with chapter 4 concept also, my children. I hope all the 10 application based short cases are clear to you. Now let's make a move to the assertion reason question, my children. See this assertion reason, first one. Covert observation is a research method. Covert observation means it's a participant observation. Oh, sorry. See here. It's a covert observation means it's a participant observation, I can say to you. Means like a participant means one person actively involved but nobody knows, like a spy. You're keeping a spy in a mafia gang, like that movies are there, you see. The covert observation is a research method where participants are unaware they are being observed. And it often raises ethical concerns. Assertion is true. Reason. By not obtaining informed consent from participants, researchers may be violating their privacy and autonomy. Yes, both are true, beta, and it is the correct explanation. See, the right answer for here. Both are assertion and reason, both are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Let's make a move to the survey method. We have one more assertion here. A well-designed survey uses a random sampling method can provide generalizable results about a population. True. Random sampling is one of the best method actually in the sampling. Sample basically. Sample is what exactly? Is a representation of the entire population. So when you select the random sampling, it's very easy. It will be easily generalized. Reason, random sampling ensures that every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Yes, 100% right. Both, which helps create a representative sample and reduces the risk of sampling bias. Yes. So this is little bit on the base of your concepts, higher order thinking for you. Both are true, my children, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. See, sampling bias, these are all not there in your syllabus, my children. Just I added this word actually to make it little bit more like a higher order thinking for you people. Bias means, favoring one side basically. So you will not be able to favor while selecting the sample. What you do, for example, you select only the bright students, the sample will have the errors. You need to select everyone, every kind of child here. So this is basically very interesting for us. Now let's go to the interview methods assertion reason here. The interview method is particularly effective for gathering in-depth qualitative data about an individual's experiences and perspectives. Let's go to the reason. Interviews allow for a flexible interactive dialogue between the researcher and the participant, enabling the researcher to ask follow-up questions and explore complex topics in detail. You see the interview method. So I can say here, this method is particularly effective for gathering in-depth actually qualitative data about an individual's experiences and perspectives. Yes, assertion is true here and the reason also true, and this is valid explanation, means both are true and R is the correct explanation. My children, I made in such a way these questions, all the questions both are true and correct explanation. Why means if I select one true, one wrong, you will get confused. It will be an easy method for you people to learn. Now, ethics of research in psychology, you see. The principle of informed consent is essential in psychological research, no doubt. You have to inform, you see. In the hospital also, the doctor will ask before doing a surgery, or any minor treatment also, minor surgery also, the doctor will write one document and will ask anyone responsible member of the patient to sign that document that See, this is basically what? Informed consent getting. Pros and cons they will explain to you before they do. So while doing the research also we need to get the informed consent. Reason. It ensures that the participants have a clear understanding of the study's purpose, procedures, potential risk and their right way. Yes, both are true and correct explanation. Now the last point for today's class, my children. Limitations of research. One significant limitation of many psychological studies is the difficulty of establishing a true cause and effect relationship. Yes, it is true. One of the difficulty actually, sometimes we will not be able to establish the true cause and effect relationship. Reason, in many cases it's impossible to control all confounding variables that might influence. Yes, in many cases it is very difficult to control the extraneous or intervening variables in order to bring the exact result. So this is the area. And ethical consideration often prevent researchers from manipulating certain variables. Yes, most of the time you see psychological research ethics are very important. So the ethical consideration is very important, my children, here for us. Making sometimes the ethics makes the difficulties actually. You may not be able to do the research exactly. So in this assertion and reason, right answer is both are true and R is the correct explanation of assertion. Hope it's very clear to you, my children. I will try to come back to you people from the chapter 3 CBQs, my children. If you like really this lesson, try to put a like button in the YouTube so that it can get circulated to many students and the children can get the benefit, my children. Thank you for watching. Stay connected and subscribe and keep this channel with you at least you complete your class 12th.